by insisting he accept their lies as real, by insisting he was never to his people tied, by dictating exactly what he might feel, by permitting bawdy joy, but never pride. They believed a lion could be brought to heel, that a lion could from his courage be pride, that the lion himself would learn to kneel, that a lion would not care even if his line died, that the lion himself would accept such a deal. In the end, it was only to themselves they had lied.
Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. We must be mad, literally mad, as a nation, to be permitting the annual inflow of some 50,000 dependents, who are, for the most part, the material of the future growth of the immigrant-descended population. It is like watching a nation busily engaged in heaping up its own funeral pyre.
The music's still going. G'day and welcome, guys, to another episode of Stream of Consciousness. This is episode 5, and you have noticed that I'm here alone. That is because we have a man down. Brian Marlow has fallen victim to our arch nemesis, the Rothschild crime family. They attempted an assassination on him at Hurricanes Bar and Grill yesterday. And he's sadly off sick with food poisoning, allegedly. But we'll be waiting for the forensics on that. So there's a lot to talk about this week because we've got March for Australia on Sunday. And there's no way you can't know about it. It's been blasted across all our channels, or your channels. It hasn't fallen victim to the changes to the new X algorithm. The guys have done a really good job organising it. It's looking great. They put the speakers lists out today. There's a lot of really cool people talking. A lot of big names. Jared Rennick's talking. John Ruddock's talking. Malcolm Roberts is talking. Down here in Tasmania, they got Lee Hansen talking again. So the politicians are a lot more comfortable coming out to this one, which is a testament, I think, to how well it's been organised. So, let us know in the comments what you guys think about it. Who's going? Anyone got any exciting costumes they're going to wear? Speaking of costumes, you guys will notice that Enoch has now got a VTube set up, and he is a gerbil, which I think really suits the surreal atmosphere that I've been trying to go for with this. So welcome to the show, Enoch. You're filling in for Brian. How was your week?
Yeah, thanks, John. My week was pretty good. It was really more of an international news week than a local news week. So it's all been happening overseas this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, and speaking of overseas, we've got some exclusive content tonight for you guys that I'm going to mention at about 8:20. So someone remind me, and you'll discover the reason why I can't mention it until 8:20 when I say it, which is the secret location of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. I know where he is.
Are you under embargo?
Well, yeah. I'm not under the embargo that the mainstream media are, which is that they're just refusing to talk about it because they're being nice to him. I'm self-imposing an embargo just in case any schizo gets it into their head to go and harass him. And thankfully, where he is, there is only 2 flights per week. So after 8:20, when you do find out where he actually is, you won't be able to get to him in time. So that's why we're going to say it at 8:20. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that and talk about what Albo's been up to. The only thing that is verboten this week that we are not talking about is the goddamn Liberal Party, right? We've had enough of that. We've had 5 episodes of Stream of Consciousness. We've been through multiple incarnations of the Hasty Wave. I think it's over. And so, put a final TLD into the chat, but really I don't think there's anything they've done worth talking about this week, unless you've been watching Jane Hume interviews or something. So yeah, we're not going to be talking about the Liberals this week. I want to talk a bit about Labor. There's been some interesting stuff going on Twitter, thanks to a guy you should all be following, a guy called John Adams, who's been doing some pretty wild stuff with some historical ABC content that, for the purposes of this going out on YouTube, I'm not going to talk about for the first 5 minutes because we'll get demonetized. So not that we're monetized yet, but one day we would like to be, so that we can buy ourselves a studio or something and make this cool. David Dean says he's going to wear a Sutton Hoo helmet. Yeah, I'd actually be compulsory, I think. Wearing helmets. I don't know which state you might run afoul of head covering rules. Probably in Victoria, just doing anything based will get you arrested. Lachlan just said, "What the fuck, McGowan? Did you start early?" No, I forgot to put in that it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or what is it? UEADT or something.
ADT.
Yeah, so sorry for our Queensland audience, which I know is probably a significant chunk of you. Yeah, it's starting an hour early for you guys, which probably explains why numbers are a bit down. Sorry about that. Yeah, Lachlan says the whole operation falls apart without Brian. Well, actually, for the last maybe 3 weeks, the operation has been kind of logistically run by Enoch, who is, like, for all intents and purposes, our producer, the Stream of Consciousness producer now.
I will click on that normally.
John, for the first week, didn't time his entrance with intro. This is what happens when Brian isn't here. Yeah, actually, you're right. That was Enoch. Yeah, we messed up the intro this time. Mostly because we were stuffing around so I could get it on Twitter.
Brian gave detailed instructions, which I then reversed.
Just didn't follow.
So just did them.
Yeah, I have no idea how to run it. I'm surprised I can even get it streaming on Twitter every time, because it's pretty complicated stuff. The StreamYard. It's designed for teenagers, not for old men. Yeah. Rare Bit has spoiled it. It is Palau that Anthony Albanese is in. I wasn't gonna say. Did he maybe he just figured it out based on which airlines which flights only go twice a week. I'm actually just tweeting it to find out if anyone else has mentioned it.
With 2 flights a week, I'm surprised there weren't more guesses. It was Adelaide.
Or increasingly Hobart. No one has actually. I can't see anything on Twitter that it's Palau. So yeah, no, this is the first you're hearing of it here. But yeah, it was Rarebit who announced it, not me. So yeah, he's in Palau, which kind of makes the whole secrecy around it even stupider, because I don't know if you guys know where or what Palau is. It's a little tiny micro country in Micronesia, north of Papua New Guinea, and it's tiny island. It's like the classy version of Fiji for very obvious reasons, based on the demographic makeup of Fiji. You can imagine what makes it classy. And it's also the site of a increasingly massive US Air Force presence. So they have a base out there. They've had a base out there for years, because Palau has fully subordinated its defense to the United States of America. So they don't have a military. I mean, they barely have cops. It's just the US out there. So that's where he is. Yeah, and they're currently building like a massive high frequency radar system over the horizon radar network in Palau. Yeah, but it's where lesbians go on solo kayaking trips and come back straight. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know what that means, but it seems it's
yeah. It does look super nice. I really wanted to go there a few years ago, but my girlfriend wanted to go to Bali, so I missed it. So I have not been to Palau, but I did read up a lot on it at the time. But yeah, like, it's probably the safest place for the Prime Minister to go. Like, nothing is going to happen to him on Palau. There's only 2, like I said, there's like barely 2 flights a week there. They're code shared by China Air. They go for like 17 hours. When you land, I imagine the US government like sticks a probe up here to figure out if you're a threat to their giant secret radar installation. And so why it was a secret, well, I guess you'd have to ask the editors of the newspapers that. The funniest part is he goes on this secret jaunt to Palau, refuses to tell anyone where he is, says that we don't have a right to know because he's entitled to a holiday or whatever. And then no sooner has he left than it turns out his phone number leaked onto the deep web. So we have a situation where Australians aren't allowed to know where their Prime Minister is, and you're not going to see this reported anywhere in the news. You'll only see this exclusively on Stream of Consciousness. But you can just call the guy. You can go on the deep web and you can get his phone number and you can ring him. So that's the situation.
Was that from the Qantas leak?
Yeah, it was from the Qantas frequent flyer leak. So I imagine he's changed his phone number since then. It's probably like his private one. These guys hardly use the actual phone.
It's probably whatever assistant he has to book his flights. Right?
Yeah, Green Goblin says, can we dial him into the chat? I don't know. We can barely get the thing running at the best of times, let alone figure out how to merge a phone call with it. So it's using like 2 entire GPUs and most of Australia's energy just to pump out that gerbil VTube thing. So yeah, I don't think we can call him somehow. But yeah, I mean, it just shows what a joke the Australian media is that they even fell for something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the play is fairly obvious, like that he just doesn't want it publicized that he's having a holiday. This goes back to that thing from The Thick of It, where like the public doesn't want politicians to have a nice life. They want them to live in a cave. Like it's bad,
which is fair, to
take a holiday.
I mean, how much of a holiday and how much respect you get is contingent on how good you are, right? Like every year for 11 years, John Howard took 2 weeks off and went to Hawk's Nest Tea Gardens in the Hunter Valley. And then he took first week of January off and went to the Ashes every single year. And he just chilled out and fucked around at the Ashes. No one cared. And he did that on the taxpayer dime too. Like we paid for him to go to the Ashes. No one gave a damn. That was what John Howard was allowed to do, because that was how good John Howard was, that he was allowed 2 weeks in what is I think personally, a pretty depressing kind of rural farmstead kind of area. And he was allowed a few days to watch the cricket, and Australians were okay with that. I don't think Albanese gets a Palau holiday. Like, I don't think he's even at the Hawk's Nest Tea Gardens holiday. I think he's at the you don't get a fucking holiday, man. Like, I mean, even Scott Morrison was doing well enough to be allowed to have a holiday when he was Prime Minister. It's just he decided to stay there in the middle of a bushfire. So, yeah, I'm
Although I
not surprised
because it's like, what is the Prime Minister going to do about a bushfire? Like,
yeah, well, exactly right. But I mean, it's the optics. You know, it's politics. It's all optics, and we now have a situation where after standing in front of press conferences for months, talking out his ass about Israel, Palestine, recognizing Palestine, stroking the Israel lobby on the dick, like all this nonsense. And now when the story finally finishes, pretty spectacular fashion too. Like, I mean, who didn't tear up at the sight of Donald Trump achieving peace in our time? He's away without leave on Palau in secret with just him, his unmarried bride to be, and probably like 8 security guards. So, yeah, it is pretty bad. But of course, the media aren't publishing it because, there's a huge difference between how the media treats Labor politicians and how they treat Liberal politicians, which is hilariously ironic as well, because, these guys treat the Liberals with just utter contempt. And, Scott Morrison's not allowed to go to Hawaii for a few days when he's in government. But the Liberals are just desperate for the approval and the attention of the media. Meanwhile, they give approval and attention to Labor, but Labor has nothing but contempt for them. Labor hates the media, right? So they're giving them all this respect that they don't get in return. And, the Australian public is sitting there going, well, where the fuck's our Prime Minister? Like, you're not going to see him until Saturday.
Negging works, clearly. This is
negging works. I mean, one of the funniest anecdotes about how much Labor hates the journos is that, like, every journalist fantasizes about one day becoming a great Labor PM speechwriter, right? And there's dozens of these guys inside Labor ministerial offices beavering away, like ex-journalists. But they are the one class of staffer that Labor will never give seats to, like, ever. I can only think of one Labor politician who was a former mainstream media journalist, and that was, I can't even remember her name.
That big ABC female personality.
You think the one, the one who won Benelong. I can't even remember her name now.
Yeah, and then when she lost,
in 2007,
she got drunk or something, and was like upset at the Labor Party because her seat wasn't safe. And so,
because Labor hates these. Labor hates these guys, right? So they'll pick staffers who just carried handbags for 3-4 years and make them MPs. They'll take like shit kickers from the unions and make them MPs. But you have like senior Australian journalists who've toiled away in ministerial offices for like a decade. Maxine McHugh, thanks Tim Humphries. Yeah, and they won't get a seat ever because Labor hates journalists, which is good. It's actually one of the most endearing things about Labor, I think.
Well, journalists hate journalists, so there's there's consistency there.
Yeah, there's self-loathing. But what really surprised me this week is that none of them broke ranks. So they've all known about the Palau thing, like the whole time. They've all known since before Sam Maiden broke it. They've been backgrounding it before he even left, but no one has just no one has mentioned it. Actually, what could be funny is that we've picked such a great night to have animated capybara on the screen, because now that we've said it, maybe the journalists will break the embargo.
Imagine if they use this footage.
Yeah, they just use this footage. Actually, if someone could just post the Prime Minister is in Palau with a question mark on the end of it, put it in the comments so we can get it down the bottom and clip it so that when they run it on the news. So if you want to be in the news, then you should post that really quickly, because we'll get it to a journal. Because I can only assume they're all desperate to run it, but they can't for some reason.
They don't want to be on the shit list, I guess.
It would be hilarious if
they won't get press releases about,
Oh yeah, I know. Oh no,
they won't then get cancelled later, and all the big news.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the news. Yeah, that's another amazingly exciting domestic item.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that Chalmers does that while Albanese's on the plane, right? Anyway, one of the other funny things about him going to Palau which was how I started figuring out where he was is he made this big song and dance about catching a commercial economy flight to Palau, which is an insane flight to be in economy on, by the way, even like if you've got the money, because it is 17 hours. I couldn't figure out, like, there's no direct flights from Brisbane. Everything routes through somewhere. And so he's doing 17 hours on a flight in economy, but all his little security drones, they won't be able to fly economy with him. Like, they're going to have gear, like they're going to have, you know, assault rifles and sniper rifles and shit to make sure that nothing happens to him. Well, that's how I started sniffing around, because I don't know how the Australian government does it, but their whole fleet, their whole private fleet of private planes just doesn't show up on Flight Tracker until they leave Australian airspace and they cross into, like, particularly around the shitty Pacific Islands. They'll pop up just as like unmarked Dassault Falcons. So that's what I was scanning around for. That's why I posted the other day, yesterday, I think, that I thought he was in Vanuatu, because there was like a bunch of obvious Australian Diplo traffic going in and out of Vanuatu on the weekend. But I didn't realize that he actually left the day before I was looking. Oh my God, the PM is in Palau?
The PM is in Palau, and the media haven't been covering it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they just don't care about the Australian public. Yeah. Speaking of the media not caring about the Australian public, the other thing we're going to get to today, which, if you're not already following it on Twitter, I think is the most interesting story that's popped up on Twitter this week, and we can talk about it now because we've reached the threshold, is this ABC... I'm not going to say the P word, because the P word will definitely get you...
let's start. Let's talk about...
But noncing. I think noncing might be all right to say. But the story is in 1975, the ABC, and I can't remember the name of the journalist off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up. Richard Neville, I think it was, did a piece on Radio National where they allowed 3 anonymous nonces to go on air and just espouse what a great lifestyle it was. And in a 45-minute interview where they talked just openly about, like, the most... I'm not going to go into it. I mean, follow John Adams on Twitter, or just Google 1975 ABC. It'll come up. It's available on YouTube currently for the time being.
It got pulled, but I've
well, I mean, it's been pulled, but I think John has streamed it on X, so I think you can watch it on X if you want to. Honestly, I could only get through 25 minutes of it, and then Grok helpfully.
I had the same experience. I started trying to listen to it, and then I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I know. Life's too short to have that stuff in your brain. And the ABC have had this buried. Landline, fuck you, says it was actually Landline, not which maybe was on Radio National at the time. And yeah, Seafaring Yuppie says the host was bragging about, similar activities, although I think the ages might have been a bit more generous. Anyway, it's just absolutely disgusting. And the ABC have had this, people have known that this happened for a really long time. It was a subject of various political inquiries over the years, predictably by Fred Nile, who always, was a big champion for bringing this stuff to light. He
reported it to the police in the following week.
Yeah. Erica Betts pursued it in Parliament at one point. There was certainly a period in New South Wales politics where there was a lot of this stuff going around, all the way up into when I was working there in like the early 2000s. A lot of like eyebrows being raised and questions being posed about various media figures and political identities and their predilections at the time. So yeah, this stuff people have known that it was around. But what's fascinating is the extent to which the ABC have tried to cover it up, and they've had it available. So I think I was reading the piece about it that John said he was able to get it by making like a community application to get it, and was able to get a hold of it. But they made him sign this document that said he would under no circumstances republish it.
So the story there is that they told Parliament they didn't have it.
That's right.
2018, parliamentarians started making inquiries, and they said the ABC took it on notice, I think, and came back and said, hey, we know that it existed. We've got some notes about what it was. This is it. They gave like a little piece of paper that said the title and the subject. They said we don't have the tape. But then in 2023, this guy John Adams just he just rocks up to like the archives or something and puts in like a kind of community researcher request.
Yeah.
And that was a standard form that he had to sign there. It's just oh, you're getting a tape from the ABC, you can't broadcast it. You know, they don't want to break their copyright or whatever, but they want the public to be able to access this stuff. Which he's abused that now. But I think
but you know what's interesting? That process, that's not restricted to the ABC. So that actually works for everyone under the like the various broadcasting acts. You can ask to have something released. Because I got one once. I got the original airing of The Project, the Lisa Wilkinson, Brittany Higgins episode, because they took it down.
Right.
And then the only copies that were around were held by the police and during the trial and the prosecution. And Bruce wanted one. And we couldn't find it anywhere. They scrubbed it off YouTube, scrubbed it off Instagram. And it turns out you can just make one of those like research applications to any network for any news and current affairs show. And boom, we just got it. Like, I think the system was automated or something. But I remember having to sign one of those at the time. But it didn't matter because it was going to be used for court. We weren't going to rebroadcast it. I mean, John has come up with some kind of like legal explanation for why he can rebroadcast it. But I don't know if it's going to hold up. I mean, it would be interesting to see if the ABC...
I don't think
absolute patriot. Right. Lachlan's 100% right. He's an absolute patriot. And you should follow him too, because he can be a bit intense sometimes, but he's definitely doing some really great work, especially like not just on this stuff, but he's done some really good work holding like the NAC to account, pursuing on things like Robodebt, which is one of the few places where, you know, we intersect with the left on, you know, it being a really bad issue. And I hopefully more comes of this, because if you read my Substacks, I think I did one a few weeks ago about, and I talked a bit about parapolitics and various conspiracy books and stuff. And I mentioned Program to Kill by David McGowan. So there's a few of those books all came out around the same time. Yeah, no relation. But one that kind of explored the same. Yeah,
subscribe to John's Substack. It's very good.
It's free. You can pay me, but it is free. You don't have to buy me a coffee or anything for it. But a book in that kind of same vein was by a guy called Simon Dovey, called I, the Chicken Hawk, which is a similar exploration, but of noncing in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the various links between government authorities, the military, some stories that have just fallen off the radar over the years. And there is in that book some really interesting connections to Australia from the 1970s. Stuff that, like, if you didn't know, you would never have heard of, because it just never gets an airing in the Australian media. Like an Australian boy went missing in 1977 in the UK. He was the son of a driver at the Australian High Commission. And he was believed to be murdered, and it ended up linking back to a thing called the Elm Street Guest House, which was a notorious haunt for these guys in the 70s, when, you know, like similar to what this radio clip showed. Like, guys were pretty open about it at the time, reasonably open about it. And I feel
like this avatar is now kind of inappropriate for the topic. It's like,
no, I think it just makes it better. Scotty Tompkins is on it. Chicken Hawk, Finders Cult, John Wayne Gacy. Go down the rabbit hole. Like, it is fascinating. But the interesting thing about the Elm Street Guest House bit was how many pretty significant Australian media and political identities were actually in England at that time, which is definitely worth reading about. I might do a Substack on it at some point. But yeah, so get around that John Adams thing if you can. It is a program filter. I actually don't know what Enoch looks like. I have no idea. Yeah. He's a mystery. He may be entirely AI generated.
You have actually met me once, but it was after.
Although I know that I was lying to them. Right. I was doing Takia, like in case the feds were watching, in case the Rothschilds were going to come for you like they did for Brian. Yeah. So no, I cannot see his face, guys, but I do know what he looks like. Yeah. what else we got in the comments? So without Brian to kind of keep us on track, you guys are going to have to step up to the plate tonight. And
well, I'll just quickly bring it back to the whole ABC tape thing. Yeah. So they said they didn't have the tape to Parliament, and they did have the tape, and now they're trying to stop it from being released, and it's been released. So they're taking some pretty big L's. I don't think anything will really happen. And the only reason, the other thing there is, of course, they tried to lie they didn't have the tape, but then they just kind of followed standard bureaucratic procedures when someone actually asked for it, which just kind of shows how, like, it's a, what is it, like a $1.8 billion organization or so. It's just totally sprawling and totally incompetent. Like it can't even, they're not even capable of doing a cover-up, which is kind of like that's like a late-stage communism problem, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I mean, if you look at what they've been up to
shoot the dissidents, you know, it's not like
if you look at what they've been up to this week, have you seen the bits of the Four Corners from Monday about because they did the hit job on Trump and about Trump's billions, which turned out to be just the billions that he already had plus 290 million that he made out of his meme coin. But the whole story just hinges on this one loser who went to a $300,000 a plate fundraiser with Trump, and he didn't get to do a TikTok with him. And that was John Lyon's whole thing. It was just that shocking footage of a man who didn't get to do a TikTok with Donald Trump. Yeah. I haven't actually watched the whole thing yet because it was that pathetic, but I will get around to it. Green Goblin, I'm going to go to the Hobart March. Someone posted earlier in the chat before we went live while I wasn't speaking. I don't really have much to say, I think, and I don't want to antagonize. You know, if you remember remember last week I mentioned there'd been some, you know, online drama with the organizers because they don't like me very much, and because I do support. I mean, I'm putting aside who organizes it. I obviously support the movement, so I just didn't want to end up, you know, anyone being particularly unhinged about me going along and speaking. And it's not like, you know, I need to speak. Like, you know, you want to hear me talk, you hear me rant on for 2 hours every week, or you can subscribe to my Substack and see me rant stuff that I write at 1 a.m. when I'm drunk. So yeah, Lachlan's said they banned John from speaking. I mean, ironically enough, one of the Tasmanian organizers did reach out to me and asked me if I wanted to speak, but I never went back to him because I didn't know who it was, because all these guys change so often. And as you can imagine, I don't respond to numbers I don't know, which is like all numbers because I don't save any numbers in my phone. So yeah, I'm going to go along, but I'm not going to talk. And also, we have a great location for it in Hobart at Salamanca, which is directly across the road from my favorite pub. Yeah, I'm going to put a shock collar on the gerbil in case it leaves the chair. That's a good one, man. Yeah. John should put on the hamster costume and then he can speak. They won't know who it is. Yeah. I don't think it's a hamster. I think it's a capybara. Tommy, that's a good question.
It is a capybara, that's right.
I have no idea. I haven't really followed what the organisers have been saying about it. I've followed like the guys from Queensland a little bit, and I know that they're not going to the one in Queensland. I think the NSM have figured out that the smartest thing for them to do is stop talking about it. Like, if you go back to August 31, a week out, they were starting to kind of agitate about it. So this time they're not, which makes me think they're hoping that the less attention they give it, the less numbers it gets. I think that's their strategy. So,
well, they put out something saying they were abstaining from coming out. They said like in October and November, we're going to be doing like political training stuff, and we're going to get ready to do something on Australia Day. So they're
launching their documentary, which is going to be pretty cool. The trailer, I got to admit, the trailer for the documentary looks fucking great. Like, that's some of the best produced content I think the right in this country have ever done. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Look, I don't think the organisers seem pretty determined to make sure it's like drama free. So, you know, here's hoping. I mean, the trots are going to be out marching again, but I really think the energy from leftists for like just going out of their houses at this the current moment is pretty low. You know, I mean, what do they have to? I mean, I guess maybe without being able to protest about Palestine because there's peace in our time. maybe they decide to protest us. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, not Pauline Hanson's cartoons. I mean, Lee Hanson's speaking of the way in Hobart, which would be interesting. She was really, really good last time. So I'm looking forward to seeing her again. Yeah. Well, Tommy just said...
public speaker, is all right.
Yeah. Tommy just said Purple Pingers will be there. He didn't go last time. So, let's see if he ponies up this time. I doubt he will. Actually, neither. I go to... it's called Pavilion, which is way further down the end. It's like a sports bar. It's great. It's the one pub in Salamanca that's always empty. No one goes there because it's a sports bar.
This is like podcasts when they start talking about LA, getting into the Tasmania specific locale stuff.
Yeah. Hobart, the LA of
I got caught on the 405 coming in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So that does lead us into the other like international news this week, which is we now have.
Well, just while we're on the MFA, just quickly, Revive Australia, which Brian's doing some stuff with, they may put out a petition or like an email sign up for if people were keen. Keep an eye on X. He may put that out before the march if people want to actually do something to help build things up and get the word out, and like use the in-person event to kind of draw people online and turn them into artists, which has got to be a strategy. Well,
and the stuff Revive's been doing so far has worked really well. I mean, the Hannah Ferguson stuff worked really well. There was hundreds of those went out. The stuff in support of McInerney and Shavura, Stephen Squared, that worked really well. So, I think Revive's becoming a serious outfit that's going to do good work. So, when you see that stuff, guys, please sign up. Send it to your friends to sign up. I know a lot of you don't have a lot of friends, but, send it to your parents if you're still living at home.
And consider if you're inclined going around at the in-person events and acting like a Spurg and actually talking to people you don't know and getting them to sign up to a Revive mailing list or whatever if it goes out.
Yeah, I don't know. Guys aren't as spurgy as I think they used to be, or as like maybe we think of them as being. But maybe I'm just noticing that because I get guys coming up to me at these things now who recognize me from Twitter. I mean, I guess I'm pretty hard to miss in real life, and you can sometimes tell like they're a bit sweaty about it. They're like, "Oh, I got to go talk to a stranger." It's easy to talk to someone who you know from Twitter, though. So I'm not sensing as much spurginess.
That's the parasocial thing, isn't it? That's it. That's kind of goes the wrong way because it's people feel like they know you. It's a different thing.
Green Goblin just said he got a bunch of replies for the Hannah Ferguson email campaign. Yeah, from venues saying don't endorse the views of speakers. I mean, that's very interesting because they certainly don't endorse. They certainly don't let you speak if you're going in saying you want to stop immigration. But if you're Hannah Ferguson, then you seem to get a free pass on it. That is interesting. Hey, if you want to flick any of those over to Brian and I, we'll have a look at them because we might be able to do something with that.
I mean, I'll quickly speak from experience on when I organised an event for just the Australian Conservatives when they existed. The way it went was that we advertised the event, we put the venue on there, a bunch of leftists emailed the event, emailed the facility and said they were going to protest it. We then had to hire security. We had to come up with a security plan. They almost pulled the whole event. They almost cancelled it all.
Yeah.
Heaps and heaps of doubled my time and effort, and then nobody showed up to protest. So it's just like a total when you get that kind of reaction, it's very inconvenient. But isn't it just interesting when the venues just go, oh no, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it's her. Yeah. If they say something they like. There's been a lot of censorious stuff going on this week. I mean, there's been a run on Twitter suspensions. You see that? Captive Dreamer got suspended. Drew Pavler is very agitated about this. His campaign.
Free Captive Dreamer.
Yeah, free Captive Dreamer. There's another one that I only kind of knew in passing, whose name I can't pronounce. but was a big Kirk poster. Yeah, it's been a few, and it's interesting because, I mean, like you said, I think it was you that was saying it, that Elon posted the other day, how's the new algorithm going? Oh, Solianath, someone just put into the chat. Yeah, I mean, Elon was talking about the new algorithm, and a lot of people, ever since I tweeted that, a lot of people have been saying that they think that there's a lot more leftists in our feeds now. They're polluting our feeds. They're coming into our glorious echo chamber where we post slurs and talk about right-wing intellectual esoterica, and I don't like it. I probably noticed it for about a week. There's just more and more posts, and you'll get someone, especially me, I get them replying to me, calling me a shithead, and I'll check, and it's someone who we have no mutual followers, and I'll look at on a post it'll have 20 likes, and it's a head scratcher. I'll be like, how the hell did you see that? So yeah, something weird is going on.
I wrote just to...
Yeah, it's like it's been suggested to me that maybe he's deliberately trying to break up the echo chamber, which I guess was always his intention, and he felt like that's what he did when he took over Twitter, but now maybe he feels like he just created an echo chamber for us and he wants to break that up. And it's great for them because it just drives engagement, because if you're posting something and you're getting 100 likes or whatever, and it's just all our guys, it's all just the guys in the chat right now, but then it goes out to a bunch of leftists and they're clicking on it and harassing you about it and retweeting it to their friends saying, look at this guy, then it just drives engagement, which drives numbers for their end, which gets more training data for Grok, which is all he wants at this point. Yeah. Marshwood says, any update on the debate between you and Joel Davis? No, I haven't chased it up. I might do it after the march. I don't think anyone really wants to, do anything dramatic before the march. I don't know. It'll be. I think it could be fun content. But yeah, a lot of people messaged me and said, "Oh, don't do it, man. Don't do it. It'll be bad." I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be fun. But yeah, I'll message him after the march. I haven't been following those guys much on Telegram. I've been pretty busy this week. So if they have said anything exciting, please let me know. Drew Pavlik, Captive Dreamer, Brown Mance, David Dean says. Yeah. I think Captive Dreamer is a white guy. He's a really weird looking white guy in real life.
He is. He was, I think, Academic Agent accused him of being Indian, and then he
he had no choice. He had to.
Yeah,
was it the hands? Did he do a hand post and reveal it?
No. He's posted his face, and then when he created an alt account, he posted a video again, saying let's see what happens. And what happened was he got banned. But why did he get banned? That's the important question, right?
No one knows. He put up an 8-second video, asking if Elon believes in freedom of speech. But I mean,
that was on the new. That was the second account.
Oh, right.
Right, but that was after he'd already been banned, and they just banned the second account because he'd been banned on the first, and you're not allowed to create a
I never thought account. He was that bad. I mean, it's crazy.
No.
It just goes to show, though, how much irony is required for you to be able to get away with stuff. Because, Howling Mutant is still on the platform, just providing us with mirth and joy every single day. But Captain Dreamer is not. That seems weird. That seems very odd. Faki says he's Muslim.
He probably broke a specific rule. Right?
Yeah. Well, before I say that, I'm just going to check whether or not he made it public. But one of our friends recently got demonetized. Did he make? Yeah, Ozpil. He did it this morning. Ozpil got demonetized yesterday, and he's had no explanation. So because that was what I was thinking of when I was saying that there's been a lot of censorious stuff going on. So yeah, there is something going on. I don't know. It sucks though, because I don't think any of us have a backup plan other than X. If things turn to shit here, did any of us? I mean, where were we before? I don't want to go to Telegram. Telegram sucks. Ads sneak in. There's way too many Indian scammers on there. Yeah, it's really the end. I mean, maybe everyone just goes to Truth Social, which no one has actually ever logged into. Steely Dan says Howling Mutant is very funny. Captain Dreamer is not. Which I really think might be the essence of it. Robag says we're going to Rumble. Maybe we should go to that one. What's that one that the chick the Turf made, the dating app for women that you're not allowed to be a man on? What's it called? It's got things. Giggle. It's called Giggle. Yeah, maybe that's where we'll go. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about Cozy TV? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Was that
Nick Fuentes had to build that himself. That was how kicked off platforms he got. He had to build his own video streaming software.
It's interesting what's been happening to him this week. Like,
just the last few months, he just gets. I mean, ever since he destroyed Tucker Carlson when Carlson lied about not knowing his dad was in the CIA and just kind of opened the door.
Yeah,
he's been.
But Tucker has been getting bad recently. I mean, like, I love Claire Lehman, but I don't often agree with the articles in her magazine. But they did do a really good piece this week about like what the fuck is going on with Tucker Carlson, because he does just seem insane. I mean, some of it's good insane. Like, I like it when he has guys on who start talking about, extraterrestrial demons and shit like that. I think it's great content. But his politics is getting weird, even by our standards, which, I mean, yeah.
Well,
don't want to have to plug my Substack again, but if you read it, you'll see how weird I can get.
I mean, this doubles back
Russian Blue Sky, who's a newcomer, says Fuentes v Tucker debate upcoming as per Alex Jones. That's cool.
Yeah, he made a one reference to we'll see. But one of the things that like is interesting about, and this doubles back to the Joel Davis debate, is Fuentes said this at one point, and he's like, yeah, well, Charlie Kirk always talked to people from the left, but he never debated me.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And just before he got killed, one of the things that got leaked, nothing to do with the shooting, Candace Owens can calm down. But one of the things in the text was that his donors were really angry with Kirk, because he was platforming Tucker Carlson. So it's like Carlson won't platform Fuentes. Candace will, but from a critical perspective. Kirk won't platform him. So it's like, but we will platform people from the left, and the left won't platform us. So it's like everyone won't platform anyone to the right is the rule. Apparently, that's the problem. Like, we're like in a multipolar, pluralistic democracy, but you can't talk to anyone who's to the right of you.
Yeah. But this is my point about I think there's an economic reason for why they do that. It's like how reply boosting works on Twitter. I think it's more to do with the scale of people's audiences. And so when you say like they don't want to platform anyone to the right of them, as you slide down the bell curve, the ideological bell curve, you're talking about guys with declining audience share, or at least their audience share is located somewhere else where it's not monetized, which is certainly the case for Fuentes. So you don't want to platform anyone less relevant than you, is I think what
there isn't much incentive to.
Yeah. And like I think that only works when you're making a living off it. And I get this is the thing with like that logic would work if Joel Davis and I made money out of talking to you guys, but we don't. And so I don't see there's any I mean, like, he's got a bigger audience than me for sure. Like, if anything, he should not be platforming, freakish esoteric accelerationists. That's probably more the vector. And plus, I just think that the Overton window on this stuff is moving so much. I mean, to the extent that these guys can be civil, then I think you're just going to see more and more of their discourse in the mainstream, especially over the next 12 months. I mean, you see how bad things are getting out there. Like, the crime figures from Victoria are out this week. You've got shit popping off in Sydney. Housing prices have just gone on a generational jump again. People can get super mad this year, and more and more people are going to radicalize. I think come Christmas, young people are going to start seriously radicalizing when they get their toys taken away by eCaren. I think that's just going to be a massive, massive disaster. So, yeah, I think if everyone plays their cards right, I mean, the absolute fringes of right-wing discourse are going to start entering the mainstream by year's end. Like, I reckon Bevan Shields will put one of my Substack pieces in the Sydney Morning Herald over the holidays just to test it. I'm not actually even joking. I think they actually might, because I haven't spoken to any journalists in maybe like 12 months. I've been on like just like my celibacy period. I've had a no talking to journos rule for a while. And just out of nowhere in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've started getting as many calls from journos just chewing the fat with me as I used to when I was working full time. And something's up. And I think they're looking for right-wingers to platform because they can smell the wind moving.
Yeah, there's an energy to these things, and it's out there. It's clear. There's just a total lack of dynamism with any other group, you know? Like Labour doesn't have any fresh ideas. The Liberals don't have any fresh ideas. Like there's just
well, the Liberals have got the opposite of fresh ideas. I mean, even the Greens are stagnating, which is hilarious. I mean, and look, and the disappointing thing, of course, is that One Nation are actually climbing in the polls, but they got nothing either. Like they're not doing anything. They're not talking about anything.
Well, and that's the other thing is that if One Nation are actually doing well in the polls, then the media probably don't want to cover them. Right, because
well, the media will be looking for other right wingers to cover because they have this institutional hatred of One Nation, and sadly, One Nation doesn't have any actual strategy for fixing that. I mean, I've been having a close look at those numbers over the last week. I was thinking about doing another piece where I smash Kos Samaras, but I thought better of it because you can only really do one of those once a month, and I've done 2 this month. But going through some of the polling. I really think the One Nation vote is overstated. I don't mean to burst anyone's bubbles about if you're a Fon stan. I know some of you are out there. Some of you have joined the branches and have paid $500 to talk to their senators or whatever. But yeah, I really think those numbers are massively overstated, and you won't see them replicated in an election campaign. It'll be like 9 to 10 at best if it was held tomorrow. I don't think the polling has figured out a way to accurately take the temperature of right-wingers yet. Adam says, they're right-wingers at UTAS. That's an interesting question. I have no idea. Every right-winger I have met since moving back to Tassie has not been at university. So, and certainly when I was there, I mean, I was the right-wing nationalist group at UTAS at the time. So I don't think there is. Yes, I saw that actually. Yeah, the Restore Britain thing. I think I shared it on Twitter. I retweeted it earlier in the week. Yeah, it's amazing because it's an actual policy document, right? Like it's not just hyperbole. It's not just agitprop where you're just going to stand there and say, "Yeah, we're going to send them all back," vibes based. Like they've sat down and done a policy on mechanically how you would do it, which is pretty wild. And yeah. Ben, I don't know if I want that on screen, but that is true. Ben in the Capital, him and I actually went to Tassie Uni together many moons ago.
Right, okay.
Which is why he's referring to things we did at university in the late 1990s. Actually, dude, it wasn't the late 1990s. It was the early 2000s. I think we started uni in...
hey, don't age him, bro.
2001.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
Hey, careful there. 2001.
Yeah. 2001 was a long time ago.
Just on the topic of Restore Britain's, remigration policy thing, that brings up like an interesting area, which is this kind of nexus between the political and the bureaucratic aspect of like the modern managerial state, where in Britain and in Australia to a certain extent, there's always been this new dynamic where the politicians say, look, we want to deal with the migration problem, but we've got legal obligations to this class of people. We've got to go through this process with this class of people. It just can't be done. We're doing this tiny little thing, but we can't do most of what you want because of legal this, legal that. Mm-hmm. But the way the Westminster system works is that Parliament can override the courts if it writes
Yeah,
specific
you can just change the
legislation.
laws. You can
And-
just change
and-
the laws.
And our High Court is like crystal clear on that. Like it's not like the Supreme Court in America where they do overrule the law. Here, the High Court has basically said, look, the Parliament is the will of the people, and the court can't get in the way of the specific will of the people.
Yeah.
So you just have to be very specific about the law you write, and it's actually all the politicians, responsibility. It's their bailiwick. It's just that it's very convenient to blame it on, well, we got these treaty obligations, we got these, legal obligations, so we can't, deal with infinity migration or something. It's like, no, you could do it tomorrow. Like,
yeah, 100%. They can just do it tomorrow.
That's what this document does in part. It just goes through, it just says, oh, well, to deal with this thing, you're going to have to make a law that says exactly this. And to deal with this thing that came up, 4 years ago, you're going to have to do this.
And the massive advantage the British have is that whereas in Australia, even Howard ran up against the UNHCR bullshit around refugees. I mean, for the British, they were never signatories to it in the first place because they had the EU rules. So they were signed up to the EU, and now they're not. So, it should actually be easier for them, particularly on the refugee stuff.
But that UNHCR thing, we can rip that up. No,
we can rip that up. And in the modern world,
there's nothing stopping us from doing that. Like that's an opinion that got me permabanned from the subreddit R Australian.
Oh, what, ripping up the UNHCR?
I said we should rip that up, and that was hate speech.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why Enoch has to appear as a gerbil / capybara, because he's outed himself as a Redditor. So...
well, there it is.
That's a cesspit. Actually, you know what? If Elon cracks down on us on Twitter, maybe everyone should go to R Australia. We'll just keep making socks, and we'll just take it over. We'll just be like, this is our subreddit now.
It's all out there now. I've admitted to being on Reddit. I've spent $30 on a piece of software that, let's face it, is probably mostly used by furries. So
yeah. But I thought you must have had a trial. So you're telling me that you chose that one? Like, I'll get you the one that makes you an anime girl. How's that? We'll get you a VTuber one. You can.
Well, what I was actually
if we get that software, I'll use it as well. Darren Ankove just said the long march.
You'll be using it off stream, though, John. That's the
yeah. I'll just be using it at home. Well, I've got Annie, my
of course
grok companion. Yeah, so I actually just
how dare Elon complain about birth rates and then release it, Annie?
Well, no, I know what he's doing. I know exactly why he did it. I was reading a paper on it actually about the kind of commercial failures of artificial intelligence, and he's trying to create a dopamine loop for AI, because what he's found is that as good as AI is, it's not like the other kind of technological revolutions where they create a dopamine loop in the user. Like, you don't really using AI is not fun. So they're desperate to create the feedback loop. So you're inclined to keep talking to the companion. And it's obviously working on some people, because you go to, not to talk about Reddit too much, but you go to that, the one where they're all having the parasocial relationships with their AIs. It's obviously already working. That's note to self. That's another Substack for next week. We're going to talk about AI on Substack, because I didn't get any new paid subscribers off my latest one. I think goths were a bit too esoteric even for my audience. So if you do one on AI, I was talking to someone who's got a massive Substack following, and he was saying, yeah, you just do AI posts and just get AI to write them, and you'll just get paid subscribers.
Weird.
Yeah. We've actually moved through stuff pretty quickly tonight without Brian to keep us on track. So, guys, throw out questions, because I clear out my diary for Tuesday afternoon. So this is all I'm doing. Lachlan says Dracula biscuits. Ben's in the chat, actually, who was there when I started saying that, and I have no idea where that saying came from. It seems like something smart and cool enough that I didn't make it up. So it definitely came from a movie or something. But it is funny. to call goth girls' boobs Dracula biscuits. Gerald Pym says he's cooking dinner, and we should ask an LLM for questions. I don't think any of the LLMs would be rated for talking to us at this point. Scotty Tompkins says thoughts on the offshore wind farm in Vic. I love offshore wind farms, and I think they should build more of them.
He who pays the piper.
Yeah, I'm a huge offshore wind farm fan. Tim Humphrey says, I've heard Jeremy Clarkson has been endorsed for a run in the UK Parliament, yay or nay. I thought this would be cool, except over winter, I watched every episode of Clarkson's Farm with my dad, and Clarkson can't keep a pig alive, and he nearly poisoned his entire village with bad cider. So I don't know if he's going to be a good member of Parliament. He's definitely, he's definitely, well connected in his community. But I don't know.
I think he's fake. This is I think the fundamental problem with Clarkson is that, he's just not really real. A lot of the stuff on Clarkson's Farm doesn't make any sense. If you think about it, that restaurant they set up, where people couldn't actually get. Did you get to that episode? I don't want to. No spoilers.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. I think I've watched the entire thing. Yeah.
Right. It's just well, then it's not. This isn't real. This is just But I guess a lot of politics is just doing stunts for the telly, so he can do that.
Well, this is it. I mean, how real are politicians even? It becomes a. Maybe a celebrity is probably better than most of these guys would be anyway. Thoughts on whether or not Drew Pavler's shift. Yeah, who am I to question?
I'm a big gerbil, so.
Yeah. See that, Sarah? I don't know. Yeah, I do. I do think he's genuine. I saw today. I saw today that he's now talking about if he wasn't right wing before, he's a homeless man jumped out in front of his mother and started pleasuring himself on a New York subway, and that just made him even more right wing. I don't know. Every day there's a new Drew Pavley story about some new calamity he's had that's just made him right wing. He's just getting radicalized by everyday life.
He comes to us.
Yeah. It's an interesting phenomenon though, because it actually happens.
The Weimar effect.
And they don't talk about it. But that's how they get radicalized. Homeless guy jumps in front of them, jerks off. I mean, they're not rushing out to do, CEO sleepouts and stuff after that. Yeah, I think he's legit. And look, even if he wasn't, again, he's created an engagement feedback loop. So until people stop engaging with it, he's going to keep doing it, which is good for everyone. I mean, you wonder, to which extent anyone who's kind of a social media influencer is sincere about their views. It's just impossible to tell. It's I mean, but you can kind of tell with people because look at journos, right? We know they're not sincere by being centrists or, being politically neutral. We know that. So, when someone picks our politics to nail their colours to the mast on with all the problems that comes with, I do kind of think he might be being legitimate about it, because he could have just stuck to the center and done pretty well and had a bit of both worlds. I noticed it. I think you see, I tweeted yesterday. I tweeted that picture of the scientists who found the organism that isn't alive or dead, and I said they finally found the Liberal Party. Double the engagement I would usually get on a post from you guys, right? Because everyone who likes my stuff is in this chat room right now on any given day. That breaks out because it appeals to the left and the right. So if you just wanted to make money out of this, then that's where you would pitch your content. You would pitch your content like that. So yeah, this is why I think he's legit. Rarebit says, can Latho realistically get the post-caravan bomb laws repealed? That is a very good question. And the answer is he could if the Liberals support it. And that's the only way he could do it. Now, I don't think they will, but I think that there'll be some people on the inside who'll put up a pretty good show about it. So,
well, the Patriot Act's still here, isn't it? Right?
No, but most of the Patriot Act was sunsetted. Most of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it was.
Some isn't.
No. Well, John Ruddock tried to put a sunset in, and he failed. So, I think I gotta stop banging the table. My camera keeps moving. So they're not sunsetted. They're forever laws that were made up about a thing that didn't happen, and we'll never get to the bottom of it because that's what the New South Wales police are like. They're very good like that. They don't mess around. They run New South Wales. Rabag says, John, how much do you know are willing to divulge about Liberal Party donors and lobbyists? Well, like anything. I'll divulge anything if you ask me. But the God's honest truth, man, is like it's not as bad as you think. Like I know it gets beaten up by both sides. Like they beat up each other's like lobbyists, but they're really not that bad. Like the influence is
they can get counterattacked immediately.
Yeah, the influence is electoral. It's not financial. Right. And a big chunk of the influence is interpersonal. It's like who's friends with who, it's who, like one of the most crucial elements of lobbying that everyone forgets is who everyone's fucking. Right. No one talks about it, but it's 100% right. Like guys marry into different firms and then next thing you know, like they're getting their way because you don't want to piss off their old man or something. Like that happens a lot. It's stupider than you think, but it's actually not as corrupt as you think by any stretch of the imagination. The interesting thing about the Israel lobby is just that they're so big and they spend so much money. Like that's how they were so influential for so long. And because they were using that APAC US style model of how to get their way, no one else was because everyone else was dumb. That's why they were so good at it. No, well, they didn't. Whereas they just always had like infinite money. Their events were always massive. They could, and see the biggest thing in politics is it's the threat of a third party campaign derailing you. Because for a lot of and it's not so much a problem now, but particularly in the past, and particularly with some of the older guys, they remember things like the Your Rights at Work campaign that was run by the unions. They remember the carbon tax campaign that was run by the minerals industry. And so when a well-funded and competent lobby group threatens third-party campaigns, it alarms them. And one of the reasons why, I actually think what's interesting about what's happened since October 7 is that the Israel lobby really failed to come through for the Liberals with the third-party campaign on nuclear, which is like in lobbying circles been whispered about a fair bit. It's kind of small beer for like newsworthiness. No one really talks about it, but the story is that a big shot political operative does work with the Jews, Euron Finkelstein. I'll let you guess what his early life on Wikipedia says. He ran. He was asked to run.
Is that his real name? What was it?
Euron Finkelstein is his real name. Yeah. That's
all right. Okay.
First time I met him was like 10 years ago, and I was shit-faced at a function. And I walked up and said, "Are you Jewish?" That he so they got him to ostensibly run this campaign to back in their nuclear stuff, and they claimed they were going to spend like up to the cap. They were going to spend millions of dollars, and then none of it eventuated. And like there's just boxes full of T-shirts that were never handed out and ads that never ran. And so that's like the kiss of death if you're a lobbying outfit, because what the Liberals and Labor knew after that was, well, if we fuck these guys, nothing bad's going to happen to us. So after that happened, they had to entirely rely on their personal leverage, which is why it's just the usual suspects, like the Burns, what's the other guy's name? The
Lisa.
Lisa, like, that was all they really had left at that point. Yeah, I mean, they're interesting. Like I had a client, this would be like 2019. He was a property developer from New Jersey and a big time Jew. Like in the US, I can't say the guy's name, but in the US, he was like known as a big time Israeli donor and supporter of causes and stuff. And he came out here And it was my job to like squire him around and introduce him to people. And like I ended up taking him to we call it, I think it has a real name. It's, the Jewish House Ball, it's called. And it's on every year, and it's run by a Jewish house. A guy called Rabbi Mendel runs it, and it's kind of funny. It's like a charity for down on their luck Jews. So we used to joke that, you know, if you couldn't afford a BMW, then they'd make sure you got like the new model. They'd make sure you got one. And it was actually for like homelessness and shit like that. But anyway, so they do this big ball. So I took him to it, and everyone knew who he was, and so he's walking around shaking hands with people. And we get in the car afterwards, and he said, "Man, you have got in this country the weirdest bunch of Jews I've ever seen." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, in the States, like, yeah, you got all the guys who work at AIPAC and you got all the Jewish lobbyists." But he said, "You know, none of those guys are really Jews." I'm like, those guys are the husbands of Jewish women. Like, that's where you send your son-in-law. You don't want anyone from your actual family doing lobbying. That's Goyim work." And he said it's crazy that in Australia, like, this is an aspirational thing for a lot of these guys. Is, you know, you graduate, you do a shitty law degree, you don't really practice, and then you end up working for one of the big lobby groups, and it's respected. Whereas in the US, if your kid went to Harvard and graduated with law and then didn't go into a respected firm and instead said, "I'm going to go to AIPAC," like, the family would disown you, you know? So it's a totally different culture here. And as a result, like, a lot of actual talent, a lot of guys that could have made something of themselves actually work for the Israel lobby here in Australia, which is why they have been for a long time so dangerous.
Right, yeah, they'd be very effective, you'd imagine.
Yeah. Scotty Tompkins says my right eyebrow is looking Aquino-esque. Yeah, I'm sending secret signals tonight to the cult overlords.
On the picking up on something you said just before, I'll always remember a Jewish mate of mine from uni who went over to Israel and came back and said, "I can't believe it. They've got Jewish garbage men over there. I've never seen anything like it."
Yeah. They're interesting here. Like, they're strange folks. It's like little things you notice, like Harry Triggerboff, right? It's like no one from his family has anything to do with the business, right? In the States, that whole thing would be like, you'd have cousins who would be running the cleaning business, the construction side of the business. You know, here it's all vertically integrated. It's totally different to, you know, like the tribe in the United States. We just have a totally different culture here. Matthew Sunday says, "Did Patterson fall badly flat today, or did I miss something?" Yeah, Patterson fell massively flat. Like, he was pathetic. The speech, apparently, he got kind of based in. I had a journo DM me about it when I posted it today and said, "Yeah, you should actually watch the rest of his speech. He tried to pick up on some culture war messaging and stuff, but who cares? Like, if he's not out there campaigning against immigration, he's not going to win any votes. That's it. That's all."
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a bizarre line to kind of go, "We got to stop airing our dirty laundry in public. I mean, this big therapy session has to end. Here's what we need to do." And then all he goes and says, like, it's just like, well, what are you doing? Like, aren't you now having it all in public? Like,
well, they love having it all in public, because otherwise the journalists wouldn't be talking about them.
We shouldn't do it in public, except this one. Well, this is the last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the last one we're going to do. Yeah, because everyone wants the final word on it. You know, like, this was for my sins. I watched Insiders on Sunday, and this is what they were talking about on Insiders. This whole idea that I know we said we weren't going to talk about the Liberals, but we talked about everything else.
Someone asked.
Yeah, someone asked. But they were saying, like, the approach they're looking at is to achieve some kind of compromise. Like, what kind of compromise? How can anyone conservative compromise with Paul Scott? Like, Paul Scott, 1 million more migrants. Like, it's impossible. You can't compromise with that. You can't negotiate with, you know, cultural terrorists. So, yeah, fuck Patterson is a long and short of it. I don't think he's got anything to contribute. You know, hopefully the Liberals do split, and he can then lead a faction of the party that tries to get back all their teal seats. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Rabbit says Polestar 1 million more outfits, 1 million more court eunuch outfits. Yeah.
I think there can only, my take on it is that, there can only be one thing that's the priority. There can only be one thing that's first.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you
that's
can't
it.
compromise
That's
on that thing, and at the moment it's immigration and the future of the country.
Yeah. Well, it's what everything else flows out of, right? I think when, like in our group chats and when Brian and I first started talking about stuff, maybe, 3 or 4 months ago, and like in the lead up to the last March, we started thinking like, well, what does a political program for the new Australian right actually look like? We came up with 3 points. We said 1, immigration, 2, national sovereignty and security, and 3, like your fundamental freedoms. But all of those flow from immigration. Like, we can't protect our country's national security and be sovereign and prosecute the case against foreign interference when you are bringing in 1 million migrants. You can't talk about, our individual liberties and freedoms and our rights to do things like, I don't know, own a gun or post whatever you want online when you're bringing in 1 million guys who we absolutely can't allow to have guns or post whatever they want online. So this becomes... it's the foundation of every single thing.
That trade-off in particular has become like way more clear over the last decade. That the kind of multi-ethnic society also requires basically the government to be a lot more authoritarian, in order to kind of glue it all together. And I think that's just becoming accepted now. That wasn't in the zeitgeist. If you even brought that up in the 1990s, it would have sounded kind of crazy and conspiratorial.
It would have sounded ridiculous,
would be connected,
right?
But it's like we've got enough examples in the West of it happening, and actually we know that in some cases cultural strife was avoided by secret government programs to deeply manipulate society using, like secret departments like the Community Relations Bureau and in America. There was one in Britain. I don't know about anything in Australia. That might be something you know about, but
there's always been theories about it and dark whispers about various Libra proxies and things like that. And actually they do. I just saw Fuck You mentioned Dr. Frank Salter in the context of some scholarship he's done, but I know that he mentions it in his big work on the history of Australian migration that there have been these periods where it's kind of been forced onto, like, there has been government money put behind forcing this out there, which is just evidenced by how it came about. Like, no one's ever liked it. Everyone knows that. It's interesting when you go around the world and you look at, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. When you look at all the countries that have suffered the most under, the COVID wave, the post-COVID wave, whether it's UK, Australia, Canada. And then we all seem to be having the identical struggles on social policy, on questions of digital censorship, on how you run the internet, on how free your citizenry is, and how big the boot on their necks is. We're all having the exact same struggle, and we're all on different vectors. I have zero doubt that Australia is on the cusp of having exactly what the UK does with regard to free speech online. Like, we will be sitting here at some point in the next 12 months and there'll be a knock on the door and there'll be a cop come to arrest us. If this keeps up, I'm 100% sure of it. Like, that's not hyperbole. That's the trajectory we're on. And it's interesting that that's happening in every country that can't control its borders. So the chicken and the egg becomes, like, is this happening because we can't control our borders and they're so desperate to maintain social cohesion that they have to get more authoritarian? Or did they not control the borders so they could do this? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it. And it's almost at the point where, like, you wonder, does it even matter? Like, it's happening. So, we all just have to deal with it and figure out a way to fix it.
Well, if the cops come to my place, obviously I'll spot them poking around in the big cage out the back. And I'll just walk out there and tell them that, Bowden escaped last week.
They'll have to get you out of your hamster wheel. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Solving the immigration question is all that matters. No one's got it on the agenda right now. Tragically, not even One Nation. Like, I'm really hoping that either Roberts or Hanson Jr. Says something interesting on Sunday. Like if I was those guys, if I was James Ashby, inshallah I never am. Like I would be going. I would be announcing my
shoes.
Yeah, to walk a mile in
to
those
mince a mile.
Yeah, I'd be going on Sunday with a policy. I'd launch the policy on Sunday. I think that's what needs to happen. But yeah, I'm not James Ashby, and he is not me. Yeah. Fuck you says we need to chimp out before this happens. Learn from UK. I mean, you got to wonder, like, you kind of play through the different scenarios. Like, could anything have stopped it in the UK? I mean, it did kind of creep up on them. I mean, so much of what they're doing now was set up under the Conservatives. So,
well, they let in the Boris wave.
Yeah, so you do have to kind of wonder, like, could anything have stopped it over there? It just crept up on them. It was like a frog being boiled. Like, one day you just wake up and you've got, 2 public safety officers in your front door asking to see your phone, please, love. Like, yeah, I don't know if they could have stopped it. The thing is, like, that kind of stuff can only work once, though, because now everyone else is going to expect it. And it's also a population thing, too. Like, they just didn't seem prepared, and guys didn't take really basic security precautions. So
yeah, but people, I mean, I feel like this is a reaction to, like, the establishment have had effective press control.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the way that worked was quite nefarious in that it was only kind of exercised very indirectly and, obliquely. But then, like, so if you look at something like COVID, where the mainstream media were in lockstep, but then they saw these people online who weren't with the program. And then they were like, well, they're so used to having control that they're like, well, we should have control. And then this kind of stuff comes along. But is it going to be effective? Like, do they actually have a master plan? Like, I kind of feel like we're in that late stage managerial state where a lot of the stuff they do, they actually, like, fail to achieve, like, across the board. So I think even if they try to come for it, they'll suck at it the same way they suck at coming up with better tax policies or building anything or, all this kind of stuff.
Well, their problem is that their master plan is just the same kind of reactionaryism as the worst impulses of our own guys, right? Like, the only difference is whereas, elements of conservatives want to wind the clock back to the mid-1980s, these guys just want to wind the clock back to 2006. That's it. Like, they just want to go back to the time when everyone listened to them, when everyone listened to the media, when Barack Obama was in office and everything was going to be okay. Like, that's what they want. And, I don't think they have a plan beyond that.
The effective response is to do the kind of, and this is covered by Adam Curtis in some of his stuff, which is in turn covered by Academic Agent, is to do the thing that they do in Russia, where they create, like, you don't just try to censor your enemies. You create a fake opposition. You create like a whole world of fake organizations so that people don't know what's real. And then later you'll actually come out and say, oh, that was fake. we organized.
The Russians do incredible things too. Like, they'll create a fake organization and then it'll end up not being fake. Like, that's how they build them. Like, they'll build them up.
They'll pivot away
and then when the whisper gets around that, that's controlled opposition, then the Russians will, like, deliberately release control of it. And I heard a story about that when I was in Ukraine, about how the Russians created all these, because, they have, like, Azov division and everything. They created, like, fake militias on the front lines in Donetsk and Donbass, and would then assassinate their own commanders that weren't towing the line, because at the time Donetsk and Donbass had just become independent, and there were guys getting ahead of themselves and didn't just want wanted independence from everyone, not just independence from Russia. So these guys would mysteriously die in car bombings, and then the Russians would come out and credit these made-up Ukrainian militias with having done it. And then when people started figuring out that these were made-up militias, the Ukrainians would start naming their militias after those made-up militias. So one of the famous ones was an outfit called Misanthropic Division, which was credited with assassinating a really prominent Donetsk commander called DJ Motorola, which was kind of, they all had cool names. But the war sucks now. The war used to be cool, and they had names like, Warbringer and Captain Doom and shit. But yeah, now they don't. But yeah, so this Misanthropic Division, Misanthropic Division killed this guy. They were a complete fabrication by the Russians. But then within months, actual Ukrainians were walking around with Misanthropic Division badges. You can go on all like the Azov Division like merch stores and stuff now, and you can get a Misanthropic Division badge, even though it was originally set up as a Russian psyop. So the Russians are operating on a totally different level. Like when people here accused various guys of being controlled opposition, or when people get fed jacketed, like it's always kind of ridiculous because we can't do that. Like it's just not within the technical or professional capabilities of anyone in the Australian government to pull that off. They would never be able to do it. Right. I mean, if you go back to the late 70s, Jim Salim kind of alludes to it happening. I think Graham Campbell, in his book as well. And if you haven't watched it, the interview between Frank Salter and Graham Campbell, has been put up online. Yeah, I think John Lawson tweeted it the other day. If you're looking for it on our kind of channels, but Graham Campbell in one of his books talked about, not the One Nation one, his other one, talked about it happening in the 70s. But I mean, they could do a lot of cool stuff in the 70s. I don't think they can do now. So anyway, back to the chat. Who else has got questions? 67. Remigration. Everyone loves remigration.
Yeah, everyone's talking about remigration.
Yeah, remigration.
Remigration mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just stop what's going on for now. We don't even. I mean, to me, it seems like if you start talking about remigration, you start scaring people away. In the first instance, we just need to stop things getting any worse, right? Like.
Green Goblin says, John, how would you do it? Well, step one, remittance taxes straight away, straight off the bat. You don't even talk about remigration if you don't have to. The first thing you do is impose a remittance tax. So we sat down in August and properly modeled it with the help of some big brain fin bros, and we came up with a figure of 33.5 to 35% remittance tax, which is the concept of a Laffer curve. That's the curve at which the tax kicks in where people start trying to avoid it. So like a great example of a Laffer curve is 2020 cigarette excise, right? Like that's the point on the Laffer curve for cigarette excise where everyone goes, fuck this, I'm not paying, I'm going to get black market cigarettes. I can't remember what that excise was. Like
even before they get black market cigarettes, there's a point where people start smoking less, right? So there's a reaction.
Yeah.
So there's a point where if you put it up enough, you actually collect less revenue.
Mm-hmm. Which is what kicks in then. So,
but part of it is outright evasion rather than actual behavior.
Yeah. Well, which is what we've got now. What we've got now is outright evasion. So the logic between
on that topic, like I've got middle class friends whose mums and sisters have now got to connect for their tobacco.
Oh yeah,
like just completely ordinary middle class people, talking like teenagers getting dope. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's on WhatsApp down here in Tassie because we only have one shop and it's run by the rebels and normies don't like going in there. So, so people have them delivered. Yeah. So with remittance taxes, you kick it in around the 30% market, and what that does is all your economic migrants, the ones who are currently sending back $38 billion, they then have to make a choice about are they going to stay here and send back the money or are they going to leave? And a very significant cohort will leave because the thing about labor mobility globally right now is, with the exception of the United States, you can go anywhere. I mean, the UK aren't going to solve their shit the next 12 months. So, I mean, we're talking like if you were to do this tomorrow, they're going to go.
Our
They're going to go to the
plan
UK.
is based on British incompetence, and that's why only we can guarantee results.
Yeah. So they'll just start leaving. And by setting it a little down from the Laffer curve, you'll get people trying to evade it. You'll get people using like services so they can send their money to have it sent on by non-Australian citizens or whatever. Yeah, or Bitcoin. And so by putting it at that point, if you catch them doing it, you deport them. So you just make it an offense whereby if you try to avoid the remittance tax, we will cancel your visa. So you're not only having the passive guys who are just here for work going, well, why wouldn't I just go somewhere that's not going to take 30% of my money? You're going to have guys that you're going to be picking up trying to evade it, and you're going to be actively sending them home. So that's step one, right? Step two is you want to double the length of time for citizenship. Just double it straight off the bat. I mean, there's no logic or reason behind it. It's 4 years now. It's got to be 8. And then maybe even 10 or 11. But
I've got no problem with making it longer. I mean,
yeah.
We don't need more citizens.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the first thing, right? And then the second thing is, the third thing is you reinstate the dictation test by means of an English test, and you just say you got to pass it. There's no getting around it, and you strip the guts out of the entire machinery of supporting people who don't speak English in Australia, right? Because there are millions and millions of dollars, billions probably, being spent on making it easier for people who steadfastly refuse to speak English to live in our country. And if you take that away, it's basically impossible for them to live here, and that'll push remigration as well. So those are like 3 passive things you can do without actually doing remigration, which will remigrate people probably faster than if you just did, and probably faster and cheaper than what the Nordic states are talking about by paying people to leave, or what the Reform, I mean, as good as the Reform England one is, of Reclaim England, sorry. I don't think it's going to be as effective as doing stuff like that.
No.
Matthew Sunday says, why delay citizenship? Because the longer we delay citizenship, the easier it is to kick them out. You know, if we can take away their residency status, we can't take away their citizenship. And
Parliament can pass laws.
Parliament can pass laws, yeah.
It's just, I mean, why would we want to make citizenship something that's easy? I mean, it just seems like a fundamentally right-wing position that citizenship should be very hard to get. I mean,
yeah, you should have to jump through hoops to get it, like serious hoops.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Robags just said Centrelink translators. Exactly. I mean, isn't it crazy that in this country you can call Centrelink and not speak English? You can get welfare and not speak English. You can get the NDIS and not speak English. Look, I mean, there's a case for, having a translator around hospitals, because sure, you're going to have people coming in hospitals who might not speak English. There might be tourists, whatever. I mean, fine. There's always, I mean, this is what the leftists go for, right? They always come up with outliers to every policy. You got to kind of just roll past that. But by and large, there is no reason for, every single government department to have a cold advisor managing how do we talk to people who don't speak English.
It's an important part of all community consultations. I worked in that space for a while. It's why? Why?
The crazy
English for the love of God.
The crazy one is, I reckon, as bad as the 5% home deposit scheme is, but if I had to give out the award for the dumbest thing the government have spent money on all year, it's that $25 million for the Hindu school. Do you see this? So
no.
Indians who have English as one of their main languages, it is the lingua franca, it is the language of trade in India. The whole justification for why so many of them come to Western countries is say, oh, we already speak English. Yeah, and then they're going to come to Australia and the government is going to spend money on teaching them the language that they don't speak at home. That's crazy. That is insane. that is absolutely insane. And yet, in the federal election campaign, Labor announced $25 million for it, and then that Mong Woods chucked on a sari and backed it in straight away. Like, that's just insane. Yeah. Green Goblin says, if you're not reposting notice or articles, sort your shit out. That's right. You must be reposting John McGowan's notice or articles. Yeah. Rob X says, I don't think there should be citizenships except for births and maybe marriages. Yeah, I mean, that's one option. Is just restricted that way. I mean, look, another option that's going to clear a lot of people out, especially the Chinese, is dual citizenships. We get rid of dual citizenships. This is what stops so many. This is and pass a law that makes it so you have to give up your citizenship just to get permanent residency, because this is the loophole that a million Chinese use to stay in the country.
Yes.
Right. So
but we can't ask them to give up their citizenship before we give them our citizenship.
No, because I'm talking about for their permanent residency. Right.
But then they don't have our permanent. They don't have our citizenship, so they can't give up theirs.
Well, they'll be a permanent resident, just like a refugee. And if that's on them, right? Because that you know what that means. They have to become Australian at that point. They're going to have to sit there effectively stateless for 10 years before they become Australian, right? That's how you create assimilation. You just give them no choice. Because right now they stay here as permanent. They stay here as permanent residents because they don't want to lose Chinese citizenship, and they know that the second they take Australian citizenship, it voids their Chinese citizenship. So they don't want it, and this is why Kos Samaras said in that so-called debate I did with him on Drew Pavlov's show that why on average the Chinese wait 15 years. Right, it's like 15 years before they're established enough that they decide to actually seek full residency, full citizenship. And so they sit here as a permanent resident with all the rights and entitlements, and then they remain a citizenship of China as a hedge, and they never have to make a choice, which is insane. They just sit here taking everything from us and don't give anything back. So we have to make permanent residency a problem. You have to make it a legitimate choice, not just a comfy place you can be in if you don't want to make a decision and you don't want to become personally invested in our country.
While we're on the topic of these kind of reforms, it's not specifically remigration, but you could actually phase it in for the current users of it. Kind of skilled migration. Let's limit that to people who are earning in like the top 25%, something like that. Like, I get the argument we need to be able to get top talent from around the world, right? Okay, but then why would we get people who are earning the average or below average wages? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, wages might not be the best way to do it because some of the most important skills are actually not amazing wages. Like engineers, for example, like good engineers don't earn that much. But the problem is engineers are one of the ones that are just massively rorted because every man and his dog is an engineer if he swung a hammer, right? So you need to figure out a better system of weeding out people who are genuinely skilled and have legitimate qualifications and ones who don't.
But that's why I think it should just like if we base it on wages, then it's like, well, how valuable is someone if we don't pay them well?
I mean, isn't that what
isn't that what the market's meant to sort out?
Oh yeah, but I mean, so much of this stuff isn't even about the market anymore. I mean, it's about it's about markets insofar as it's the universities or whatever. Like, it's this goes to the point. Like, and saying this is almost as bad as saying you believe in the Great Replacement. But if you believe that there is an electoral motivation for any of this stuff happening, like, look, I've never seen the media so viscerally respond to anything in right-wing discourse until Jacinta Price said that. But it really makes you wonder when you look at the contribution that the so-called skilled migrants are making. Why are we bringing them in if not for electoral purposes? Nothing else makes sense at that point. But yeah, I mean, maybe wages is one issue. I mean, another is to
suppress wages is the answer, right? Like
they love suppressing wages
in a very simple, I just take this formula around, and I think it's a good political one, just because it's simple. But it's like if you own capital, labor is a cofactor of capital. So if you cram a whole lot of labor near the capital, you increase the value of the capital. And that's what big donors want.
Yeah.
It's a cofactor of production. It makes the shop they already own more valuable. So bring them in.
Yeah. GDP goes up, line goes up.
Rents go up.
And so this is why, like, you know, I think I said it in a really early stream we did that, you know, we're not just at war with the left and with the media and with legacy politicians. Like we're not almost, we are at war with the Australian economy itself. Like that's where the fight is, because the economy has been designed around this now and everyone's invested in it and no one wants it to change. So when you say you want to change immigration, you need to change the Australian economy, not least because like a lot of these changes, even a softly approach like remittances and citizenship rights and restrictions around permanent residency, that kind of passive remigration, I mean, it still risks plunging the country into a depression.
Number could well go down. The number's gone down.
Numbers definitely going down. Like there's no argument. The number is going down, and there will be a recession. Like whoever takes on this challenge will take on a pretty deep 3-year recession. There's just no way around it. Like you can't sugarcoat that. Someone's got to be brave enough, and this is the thing with our politicians.
John, we might not have enough money to run the election. You know,
we may have to just. We might just have to stop elections.
We have to wait for the economy to bounce back before we hold that election.
Yeah, we may have to wait. You know, but yeah, there's no choice about it, right?
Yeah, this is why people don't do it because it's you know.
Well, I mean, there are so I think. On Monday, when I posted, like I was asking for suggestions on what to write in my Substack. I mean, the one thing that no one wanted to see was my piece on solving the housing affordability crisis, which I thought was pretty funny. Like everyone just wanted to see, like, Bruce Lehrman gossip or goth girls or just anime or something. And I put up there, what about solving the Australian housing crisis? And everyone was like, no, boo. But
satisfy systems, please.
Yeah, but like you can't. That is kind of how you avoid the economic turmoil of whether it's remigration or just like a sudden slowdown in migration is through making housing not just more affordable, but creating a proper market out of it, which will long-term see prices go up, but will at least create like some spiky volatility where people can get in on the market, because that's the fundamental problem. Like, the government is determined to run a regime where somehow it becomes easier to get into the market without the net value of housing going down. That's the brass ring for the government. That's what they're trying to achieve. It's what they've been trying to achieve since like 2017 when this first goes on the radar. And the more you think about it, the stupider it gets. I was probably one of the first people to write it down because I was working for Anthony Roberts, the planning minister, in 2017. And Gladys was obsessed with solving the housing crisis because she thought that was something she'd be able to do. And we were sitting around going, well, hang on a second. It's not really a crisis if all our voters' houses are getting more expensive. And so we came up with this form of words. He was going to a CBIS speech night. And the form of words was, the challenge for this government is making it easier to buy a house while increasing the value of mum and dad's investments. And like Robbo said it on stage, and he just like came down off stage and he'd underlined it on a bit of paper, and he looked at me and went, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And everyone was applauding. Like these guys, the developers were going, yeah, that's what we're going to do. This is great. And Robbo was standing there afterwards shaking their hands going, yeah, I hope no one ever holds me to that. But that nonsense is what successive governments have taken as their policy. And so when you go back to first principles and you say, well, how do you actually do that in the real world? There is really only one way to do it, which is to introduce actual risk and market volatility into a market that has none. And it's actually not as hard a sell as you'd think, because no one thinks risk is going to apply to them. Right. So the more risk you introduce, the majority of people who are either over leveraged or, subject to risk, could be subject to the risk, will say, oh, that'll never happen to me. And then when it happens to them and they sell their houses for less, you introduce the line of the housing market will resemble the line of the stock market, right? Because right now the housing market just goes up in a straight line, right? And it might, at the best, it will plateau a little bit. But it never goes up and never goes down. And so it never goes down and then back up again, right? Which is what you want it to look like. That's the definition of healthy markets. Because if you look at the stock market, right, it always goes up. I mean, year on year, the stock market will end up higher than it was at the start of the year. But in the middle, there is discounting, right? There are days in the middle where the stock market goes down and an investor can take advantage of that and enter the market at a discount. And that's what you need to create. Rather than backfilling people's equity and giving them cash, which is just going to get passed on to real estate agents, create a regime where risk is reintroduced so that a smart kid can buy a house for less than maybe they would have. That's all you have to do. So Lachlan says, I don't give a fuck what my house is worth. It's where I live, not an investment. Well, exactly. I mean, that's how it's meant to be. But we've lost that. That's train has bolted in Australia. Green Goblin says he wants more Robbo stories. I have so many funny Robbo stories. I can't remember them all right now, but he was the most fun guy.
It speaks to his kind of slickness as a politician, which is that whenever he'd shake your hand, he'd say, "It's good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you." And then when he leaves, he says, "God bless."
It covers the gap between having to he doesn't have to guess whether he's met you before. Whatever's happening, he is seeing you right now. That's locked in.
It's always good to see you.
And he's one of the. I mean, good to see you, and you feel good about it, and you go, "Oh, right, he just didn't know if he'd met me before."
Just hands down, one of the best retail politicians in the country. Absolutely. And
is he still in the business?
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere. Yeah, he's doing really well. I mean, look, he's quiet at the moment. I mean, he's probably he's the last Liberal Conservative standing. In Labor, they had a faction of guys they used to call the Trogs, the Troglodytes. I think the last of them was a guy called Tony Catanzariti. And Robbo's kind of like a trog at this point. He's the last unreconstructed Catholic Conservative in Australian politics. There's really just him. But yeah, one of the funny things about him shaking people's hands though was that when you worked for him, you always had to carry around a little bottle of Aquium on a zip cord because he was a germphobe, right? So he'd be walking around shaking all these guys' hands, and then he'd when he thought no one was looking, he'd put his hands out. You have to squirt the hand sanitizer into his hands.
That's amazing.
He had no problem getting hand sanitizer during COVID because our office was just packed with it. Just shelves of it for when he'd go out. We used to play funny pranks with it too, because I remember one day there was a guy in our office who had this massive crush on a girl down in another office. This was pre-Lerman Higgins, when you could have office romances. And he was super in love with this
I wouldn't
chick.
call that romance, but go on.
Yeah. I'll get in trouble for that one. Yeah. But yeah, so he was massively in love with this chick, and he bought a birthday. I think it was a birthday or something, or maybe it was Valentine's Day, and so he'd bought her a nice scented candle in a little box, and it was all wrapped up with a ribbon and shit, and he left it on his desk, and he had to go down to the chamber. And so, because Robbo only hired dudes, he had a secretary at the front door, but in his ministerial office, it was 15 men. All like me. In fact, most of them even looked like me. And so we would just fuck it with each other. And so this guy goes, and so we very carefully take the box apart and we lift this scented candle out of it, and then we filled it up with Aquium. So just squirted all the the hand sanitizer into it, and then put the lid back on and put it all back together. And so he goes and leaves it on her desk during question time. She gets back up and she thinks, "Oh, it's so nice when we got your birthday present." And she opens it up and it's just Aquium. And he never forgave us for that, ever. Because we ruined his relationship. That was the kind of stuff that happened in Robbo's office.
Well, this is the kind of covert. I mean, because there's another level to that, which is the 15 guys in the office getting covertly jealous that someone's got, got a girlfriend.
Yeah, true.
It's a funny prank.
There was
It's a funny prank, but also,
Yeah.
I mean, fucking,
Yeah.
what, you're relating to a woman? Fuck you.
Yeah, how dare you? Like, we were incels before there was such a thing as incels. Yeah. Gerald says, talking about romance with a 100% male audience, so much hate. I happen to know there are at least 2 girls in here. But they're not talking to you plebs. They're DMing me directly. We do have 2 female fans. And no, I do not know what they look like. I'm assuming not amazing, but hey, they're there, you know.
And they're gone.
Good. And they're gone. I'm just trying to alienate them on purpose. No, actually, they're not gone. One just DM me. Yeah. I don't know. Do we need more female fans, guys? Seafaring Yuppie says his mum and his aunt. Yeah, it's your mum.
I think the whole kind of
Dan says
you've
women
got
are gay. Jordan Abizaid says, any progress on the transvestigations? Who are we going to transvestigate again? I forgot.
Investigations, yeah.
Who are we transvestigating? Yeah.
You'll have to tell
Scotty
us, John.
Tompkins says, time to crash this stream with no survivors. Any thoughts on trade period, John? I got a lot of respect for what Hawthorn and Essendon are doing. Like, those guys playing hardball. I thought that was kind of based today. Was it Essendon who just said, no, I'm not going back because that's a shit offer? Yeah, no one wants to talk. Did we establish this last week?
We
no
don't
one
like
wants to talk about
sports.
football.
Yeah, this isn't a
Yeah,
sports
no one likes. In stream of consciousness, we do not like sports ball, and we do not like girls, and we do not like the Liberals.
They're not our topics of expertise. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty good. I'm okay with women. Like, I'm not terrible. Just not at the moment. Yeah. That's why, if you guys haven't noticed, my Substacks are so insanely horny lately, because I don't have a girlfriend. Thoughts on donors moving money from Libs to Advance? Hey, this is a really interesting topic, right? Because Advance obviously went into that last federal election with a shit ton of money. And, I mean, 500,000 of it, in fact, came from the Liberals. It came directly from the Cormac Foundation, which is a Liberal Party cutout in Victoria. So... They were cashed up, and they decided that what the donors wanted was to spend that money on going after the Greens. Remember that whole, like, Advance going to knock Greens out thing, which was stupid. Anyway, we've forgiven them for that because they've been based lately. Anyway, I don't know the answer to this. I mean, we do know guys who work at Advance, but we don't talk shop with them. And I don't know whether... what Advance is doing at the moment, where they're just being our guys, whether someone is paying them for that or if they have money left in the tank. Like, that's not clear. So if it's the case that there is a shadowy millionaire who is bankrolling Advance to repeat our talking points, that's fantastic. I feel it's more likely.
But I personally feel you should just come straight to us and we can sort something
and give me
out.
money. Yeah. Well, I mean, Advance said, look, they got a good rep, and, you know, I'm not a people person. I mean, I know guys like my posts and stuff, but you don't want me in a room doing Advance kind of stuff. I can't do that. But yeah, I think maybe that's not what's happened, though. I think that they've got money left in the tank, and there are guys internally who are based are taking that money and they're spending it on things we care about, which then raises the question, as good as they are now, what's going to happen in 2028, right? When they have to campaign. Campaigns are expensive. The old donors, they're going to come back and they're going to want them to do dumb shit again. They're going to want them to go after the Greens. They're going to go and talk about Israel or whatever stupid cause celebre that the average Australian millionaire Advance donor wants to talk about. It'll probably be because they want Catherine Deves to send them foot pics or something, and so we'll talk about transsexuals or something for the whole campaign period. Who knows? But that's kind of the question with Advance. Like, as good as they are now, I'm worried that they can't keep it up. And then come campaign time, they'll be like, well, thank you guys. It's been fun. Thanks for all the memes. Thanks for all the posts. But now we have to talk about just this absolute dog shit campaign that the Cormac Foundation wants us to do or whatever. So, yeah, that's what I think about Advance. I mean, if any of you guys who work there want to clue me in, like, I'm happy to be corrected. But I'm hoping they stay based, and we'll certainly be trying to pressure them to do so. Swing State says they weren't very effective. I mean, it's one of those things. I said they weren't very effective at the time, but they've managed to create the narrative afterwards that they were. And at the end of the day, in politics, isn't that all you need to do, right? Matthew says, I think 3 Greens lost their seats. I mean, my point is, like, can you trace that directly back to Advance? I don't know. I mean,
you can't trace anything directly in politics, so that's why everyone takes credit.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Wrong on the other guys.
It's whoever's loudest and says, "Oh yeah, I did that." Like, I did that massively.
What everyone needs to do is adopt my political position. That will win elections. That's the line of every political faction on Earth.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem with the Liberals, right? Because you've got two factions saying we can win elections, the other side saying no, we can win elections. And both sides are right. They can just only win elections in specific seats. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got? AFLP, a big win on Super Tax.
We are now at time, so I mean we don't need.
Oh wow, we actually did all right. I thought, not that I thought it was dragging, but Surf Sherpa's joined us. I'm guessing Surf Sherpa, based on the time, must be from Queensland because we missed him. And he says, "Who's my favourite Haneke film?" That's I don't know. I like Time of the Wolf. Maybe that was okay. I actually only have a Criterion Collection account right now. Criterion Collection and Crunchyroll. They're the only things I subscribe to. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Paramount. I don't have Disney. So I just watch that. Seafaring Yuppie says, "What Oriental cartoons have you been watching, John?" God, I've been waiting for someone to ask me that. September season on Crunchyroll was amazing. I watched Kaiju number 8, which is brilliant. You should watch that. I watched Clevatus, which is kind of like Berserk, but with a chick, it's way cooler than it seems. And I was a really big fan of My Dress Up Darling, which is about a autistic doll maker who falls in love with the most popular girl in class, and he helps her make skimpy cosplay outfits. So there you go. Silly Dan says, "How do you have Criterion Collection?" Dude, it's called a VPN. And also you need a US PayPal account. Lachlan says, "New season of One
Punch Man." That's actually quite advanced. You tossed that off like it was simple, but that's actually...
Is it? Because you're all going to have to get these things
all
on
you need
December
is a
10th.
and also like a US account.
Yeah.
So
Gerald
have you got
says
a US
Berserk
credit card for that or something?
No, because Criterion lets you pay with PayPal, so you only need a US-based PayPal account, which you can set up nowadays with
an Australian credit card.
No, you just don't use an Australian. You can't use an Australian credit card for it. You have to use something like your Coinbase account or any crypto account that you can connect to PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah. Seafaring Yuppie says, "Is the animation shit again or no?" You know, it's interesting you say that because a lot of anime I notice is getting increasingly shit. I have this whole Substack ready to go about anime culture wars, which I'm really excited for you guys to see. If like all 5 of you are interested in to see. When I'm not trying to attract a bigger audience at all. Robag says on December 10, do we need to log into X with a MyGov ID? No, I don't think X is going to do it. I really don't. X already has a system of verifying your ID through Stripe anyway, which is a totally good way to, like, if you do have to do your ID for anything, you do it through Stripe, which if you get monetized, like whether on YouTube or X or Substack, it all goes through Stripe, and it's a bank basically, so it's a lot safer for have your ID at than anyone else.
Yeah. Although one of the data breaches a couple of years ago was Latitude. So.
Yeah, true. But weren't Latitude owned by MasterCard or something? Are they like sure. I think they, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, unless anyone's got anything else, we might call this meeting to a close. I really felt like
I will give the obligatory follow me and John and even Brian on on Twitter. Follow John's Substack. Subscribe to us.
Actually,
in all
are
ways
you on?
and places.
Do you have an Enoch Powell Twitter account, or are we using your old Morgoth one? Oh,
No,
you do.
Enoch Powell on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna. I just realized that I don't even follow you, dude. That's how bad friend I am. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure
John's
that
on.
you go in. Yeah, I'm gonna put you into the
Enoch
the
Powell
comments.
Yeah,
I found it because we're in a group chat together. Yeah,
I'm talking for the audience.
Yeah. How do we do on numbers tonight? Let's have a look. I don't reckon we did as well as previously. Oh, actually, we did okay because I didn't promote this one, so we did like 1.4K.
Yeah,
and
if
we go into analytics, I do know that there's literally 100 guys that are super into it. Like there's 100 guys. Yeah, exactly right.
That's Oliver Cromwell. Okay, if you 100 people who are completely convinced.
So last week I put about $40 in to promote the stream, and it's done it did the exact numbers that Elon Bucks says you'll do for $40. So cool. And they were like, actually tonight, weirdly, and Brian's not going to be happy with this, our actual live audience was a little bit bigger tonight. And I reckon it's you. I reckon it's the capybara.
Something a bit interesting.
Tommy says, I'm honestly thinking I might just leave social media on December 10th. Don't do that because I'm super narcissistic. And if people aren't reading my content, I'll get sad. So I don't know what I'll do. So, yeah, don't leave. We're going to figure something out. I'm probably going to do maybe like a podcast thing where I'm going to talk people through how to get around it if you're super uncomfortable about it. Like on X, I don't think anyone should have a problem giving their ID to X personally, because I'm 100% sure they're going to integrate it with Stripe. It's not going to be a particularly big deal. And I reckon what they might do is lower the threshold for monetization. So you might make some cash out of it. And the other thing is what we might try and do like friend follow Fridays and shit, which used to be big when Twitter was young, but people don't really do them anymore. So, you know, particularly for those of us who pay for the blue tick, you know, we get everyone, so long as we get 500 of us with blue ticks to follow all of you little anons with like 50 follow accounts, then you'll all get monetized. I think it insulates you from suspensions a lot. I mean, not if you do something really repellent, but I do think it gives you a bit of latitude, and then you'll be comfortable monetizing and not have to leave the platform.
Do you reckon we could get someone like Drew in? Do you reckon he'd do like a quick, just like a 45-minute workshop on like the tricks of Twitter, just to maximize your...
Dude, I've talked to him about it. And honestly, he doesn't know. Like, he gets surprised.
But he's good, though.
Like,
I mean,
he's good, but so much of it's just...
That's a news story for this week. He had a gigantic online week. He got, like, retweeted by...
Oh, yeah. How did we miss that? Yeah, because Drew, JD Vance, Ted Cruz, Elon, like... Drew Pavler is probably one of the most significant figures in Australian politics right now.
Yep.
Can you believe that? Yeah.
But he doesn't know how he does it, so...
But he doesn't really know how to do it. Oh, look, I mean, I think a lot of what he's done is trial and error. And, like...
Well, that's why, that's why...
Because, remember, I mean, he's going after Hassan Piker this week. And, like, I mean, really, like, Drew was Patient X for, like, the massive news story about Hassan Piker's dog, too. Like, don't forget that. But, like, before Hassan, there were a few periods early on where he was constantly trying to pick beef with people and, like, debate people. And it's interesting, if you go back and watch those streams, I only noticed it when I went back because when that the MFA organizers were yelling at me, I had to go back and watch some of Drew's old streams to find myself. And I noticed that, like, he didn't do great numbers on those. Like, the early beef seeking that he did, but now they've just taken off. Like, so
we've got to seek some beefs. We've really got to.
But I'm a really affable guy. That's the problem. Like, I don't beef with people. I got Nathan Sykes, but I mean, no one wants to see beef with Nathan Sykes. It's just sad.
Maybe we've got to do it hip hop style. We've got to basically create a completely fake beef with, an equivalent figure on the left.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we could message someone. You know, a lot of the leftists actually get along pretty well with me. I could message some and say, hey, I'll start some shit, and then we'll try and drive engagement on it. Yeah, Lachlan just said Drew writes 25 different posts on the same topic. He's A/B testing in real time. That's exactly what he's doing. Like, he just sees which one's
but yeah, even that is like an important. Maybe that's what you got to do. Like.
Yeah, Tommy said Sid Vicious. Yeah, I actually talked to that guy. I think he's all right. I don't mind it. Maybe we'll start a beef with him. I'll get him but he's in a similar situation to me on with his side of politics to our side of politics, is because he's also a really affable guy. But a lot of the guys that follow him are lunatics, right? Just not to put too fine a point on it, but some of you guys are fucking lunatics. And so I worry that if you did start one of these confected kind of dramas, that you just get so many freak shows piling in on it. It wouldn't be funny after a while. I think the guys would be getting doxxed and swatted and stuff. So no, I don't think we're going to do that.
It's meant to be fun.
Yeah, it's meant to be fun. Actually, well, you guys are fun. I'm probably not talking specifically to our stream of consciousness audience, but you know who I'm talking about. There are definitely some unhinged guys. There were guys that I didn't want to talk about Albanese being in Palau in front of, in case they got in a plane to go and wave a placard in front of him. Did Chris cover his? Did Chris cover his stream
Albanese? He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, you're right. He hasn't done anything.
How worked up can you get about someone who fundamentally does nothing?
Yeah. Gerald says once you sell out, there'll be too many women. I don't know. I think we're on the cusp of a moment in the right for women, right? I think there's going to be a flood of women soon. I just got a feeling. Yeah. We're going to try and get Dasher down.
It's the final element.
Yeah. We need a Dasher, right? We had Selena, but she got too intellectual for us. Selena just writes, admittedly amazing Substacks, but yeah, I don't know where we're going to get these girls from, guys. Let's keep thinking about it.
We could get Selena on the stream. She could be good, couldn't she?
I think Selena's going for a more kind of studious intellectual thing than what we might be pitching for.
She's Claire Lehmaning it.
Yeah. Schizoid in with and Selena is Jewish, on boom.
Right. And she's gone.
Tristan Barker says, replace the term remigration with protecting women. That's not a bad idea, actually. That could work.
Because of the implication.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's where I'm going to love you and leave you.
All right, turn off the shot collar, John, so I can leave the chair.
Great stream. Yeah, I'll let you're allowed off the chair. Yeah. It's been fun, guys. We will see you next Tuesday for the March for Australia wash up with all the drama. If you are at the Hobart March for Australia, come give me a shout out. I might buy you a beer afterwards. And yeah, TLD in the chats, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Brian, not everyone, please pray for Brian as well. Please pray for Brian because the Rothschilds nearly killed him. All right, guys. See you soon.
See you guys.